I want to talk about the Prime Minister of Italy and what she had to say recently about Africa. It was fantastic. Let's talk about it. Hello, everyone. This is Keith. Welcome to the Ghetto Sapien channel, your home of inner city intelligence. So, the Prime Minister of Italy, let me tell you right off the bat, Italy is one of my favorite European countries to go to. I love going back there. They're so proud of their culture. I think that's a great thing. I am not intimidated by anyone being proud of their culture. I think it's a beautiful thing. I don't want to go to some other country and it's like Jersey. I want them to embrace their culture, and I want to see and immerse myself in their culture, their language, and their food. Be proud of your culture. That's all I got to say about that. But the Prime Minister, she addresses something that's very important that's been going on in Europe for quite some time, the influx of migrants from Africa. She gets to the heart of it. No one really wants to talk about what she's bringing up, and I'll tell you exactly why once you hear this lady go off.
Questo è un bambino che lavora in una miniera d'oro in Burkina Faso. Il Burkina Faso è una delle nazioni più povere del mondo. Per il Burkina Faso, che ha l'oro, la Francia stampa moneta coloniale. In cambio pretende che finiscano nelle casse del tesoro francese il 50% di tutto quello che il Burkina Faso esporta. L'oro che questo bambino si infila in un cunicolo per tirare fuori finisce per lo più nelle casse dello Stato francese. Allora la soluzione non è prendere gli africani e spostarli in Europa. La soluzione è liberare l'Africa da certi europei che la sfruttano e consentire a queste persone di vivere di quello che hanno.
And she's absolutely right. The reason why so many Africans are migrating to the European continent is for economic reasons. It's just poverty. And it's avoidable. Like the Prime Minister said, just leave the resources, the natural resources that Africa has in abundance, leave them in Africa. In the Middle East, we know they have large resources, large deposits of oil. They didn't have refineries at the time. They didn't have a way to ship them or pull it out of the ground safely. So the West went over there, struck a deal with the Arabs, and set up refineries, had tankers, and allowed the Arabs to sell their oil to the rest of the world. They benefited. We all benefit from it. That's how it should be. Why can't they do the same thing in Africa? Africa is rich in natural resources, gold, diamonds, uranium, copper, cobalt, all these things, rare earth minerals, materials that we need. Instead of going in there with refineries and large tankers, to ship the oil out, to refine the gold and uranium there in Africa, and allow these countries to sell it to the rest of the world and profit, and we benefit from having these things. Instead, countries like France, they strike deals with people they know who are crooked, who are running some of these African countries, who they can just pay off and who will just keep their people in poverty and not allow them to share the resources that are native to their country. It's been going on for a long time. There's a lot of kleptocracy going on in Africa, where it's just completely outrageously corrupt countries. People, leaving their people in crushing poverty, and then just the people at the top are benefiting from it. This needs to stop. They have children working in mines, and it's just really horrible, terrible conditions. If that was happening here in the United States, we'd be freaking out. So why is it tolerated? Why aren't more people hearing about what Prime Minister Maloney is saying? Well, just watch the rest of this clip and we'll get back to that.
This is one of the thousands of unregulated, unmonitored mines in the DRC. It's crawling with children, working like modern-day slaves. A 12-hour-long day.
It's not like slaves. They are slaves, and these are children. There's no excuse for this. Even if you just approach this from a raw, just numbers angle and forget about the humans themselves. Even if you just push that aside. This is the most inefficient way of mining materials out of the ground. Machines do this much better, much safer, and less manpower, and cheaper. There's no reason to have children working under these terrible conditions. And again, I'm not even just talking about, I'm just coming at it from a numbers angle. There's no need for this. Why are they allowing this to happen?
Of punishing work may earn them the equivalent of £1. Although one of the poorest countries on earth, DRC is rich in minerals. But a history of brutal colonial exploitation looks like being repeated now in 2017.
They're being exploited not only by France and other countries in Europe, China, United States to some degree, being exploited by their fellow Africans who, their leaders will sell them out for pennies on the dollar. And a lot of European countries know that. Again, they know they're dealing with despotic leaders. They just pay them off and they'll keep their people oppressed and keep them working in these mines.
Much of it's mined by hand with rudimentary tools in harsh, potentially hazardous conditions. And wretched whether or not, the rush is on for a mineral the DRC has in great abundance, cobalt, and it's fast becoming more precious than gold. It's a critical ingredient in lithium-ion batteries which power smartphones and laptops. An army of children are at the heart of the mining production.
And there you go. These are materials used in batteries. This video is from 2017 when the push to EVs, electrical vehicles, wasn't as strong as it is now. Now, our government is pushing electric vehicles. They don't care about where those battery components come from. No one gives a crap. By pushing EVs, we're also pushing these kids. We're increasing the demand for these children to work under these horrible conditions. And again, no one cares. They don't see it, out of sight, out of mind. I think people should be able to relate now to the antebellum slaves and what was going on, because you think, how could you ignore slavery back in 1800s? But the guy in like Boston or in England who was happy to have a nice white cotton shirt, he didn't see the slaves. He didn't know what conditions they lived under. He just saw he had a nice white shirt. He might have heard rumors, but he didn't really see it with his own eyes. So easy to shrug off. Same thing with us. We have batteries in our cars, electrical vehicles with batteries in our cell phones, and we don't see where it's coming from, so we don't pay much mind. So what I'm just trying to say is we're not any better than the people who demanded the white cotton shirts in 1800s. We're here now looking for cheap batteries in our smartphone. Again, I'll just get back to the Prime Minister. I think she makes a very good point. We should help people where they are instead of trying to get them to leave their homes, which I'm sure they wouldn't want to do. They had a preference. People love their home country. Just like, again, I like visiting Italy. I like visiting England and France and all that stuff. I like my home better. These people are no different. They'd love to be back home, I'm sure. But Europe is playing a hand, and in particular, in this case, France, in making their home uninhabitable. And that has to stop. I applaud the Prime Minister for at least bringing this up, and it's no wonder why it's being ignored in the media, because right now the greater push is for electrical vehicles, and no one cares about the kids in the mines that make it possible. That's my take on this. What's yours? Like, share, comment, and subscribe.